Kenneth Moreno and Franklin Mata. Back in 2008, a cab driver called police to get an intoxicated woman out of his taxi. Prosecutors say Moreno then raped her in a Manhattan apartment, her apartment, while Mata was the lookout. The defense says the accuser's memory is not reliable.
Both officers were on duty and in uniform at the time of the incident. Prosecutors say Moreno actually committed the rape, that Mata acted as a lookout.
Jury deliberations are finally underway in the rape trial of 2 New York City police officers.
The 27-year-old woman claimed Officer Moreno raped her while Officer Mata waited on the couch.
Surveillance video shows the officers visiting the woman's apartment building 4 times that night.
They had a pretty 27-year-old in that apartment who was drunk, alone, and vulnerable, and they didn't want anyone to know that. Both officers are seen on surveillance video walking into her building 4 separate times.
Woke up from a drunken stupor to discover she was being raped by Kenneth Moreno.
He claims the woman was half naked and that she was the aggressor.
Moreno testified that despite her advances, he only counseled her on the dangers of drinking while snuggling with her in bed. When asked why he didn't tell his partner, who was allegedly passed out in another room, Moreno said, quote, "I don't kiss and tell."
I remember he kissed me on the shoulder blade, she said, end quote.
He admits climbing into bed with the alleged victim, but claims he did not sexually assault her.
As that young lady was in bed naked, intoxicated.
Officer Kenneth Moreno said the victim was trying to hook up with him and that he turned her down. He said, "She went to kiss me and I turned my face." He denies undressing her and says she was already half naked when she called him into her bedroom, only wearing a pink bra.
Cuddled her, I think was the terminology he used while she was nearly naked. That's wildly inappropriate behavior. She was intoxicated, wasn't able to consent to that.
Liz, Officer Moreno admitted today in court that he spooned and held a total stranger.
The victim actually had a conversation with Kenneth Moreno, who's the lead defendant here, the cop, and she was wired by the DA. Number 1, he admitted doing it. Number 2, he used a condo. Number 3, he went on and said, don't worry about pregnancy or diseases. That tape is irrefutable. On top of that, Franklin Mata, his partner, is going to testify that he raped the victim. So whatever memory issues the victim has, I think this case is overwhelming, and I think we're looking for a conviction.
And then the officers face up to 25 years in prison if convicted.
And in just a few short hours, the jury will begin to deliberate the fate of these 2 NYPD officers. Assistant DA Colleen Valbert told jurors in her closing statement the evidence is there to convict.
Jurors said it was difficult to convict the officers because there was no DNA evidence, and the alleged victim herself did not have a clear memory of the night because she was so intoxicated.
But they did find surveillance video showing the officers going in and out of the woman's apartment 3 times that night without telling their supervisors. The former NYPD officers were cleared of rape and other serious charges, but convicted of official misconduct.
1 year behind bars. That's a sentence given to former NYPD officer Kenneth Moreno, convicted of official misconduct. Along with his 1-year sentence, a judge had some harsh words for the former officer, saying
there are only 2 reasons someone would risk their job and reputation. One is not to go console a young woman on the perils of drinking.
He abused a position of trust.
Do you know why a New York jury acquitted those 2 cops of rape yesterday?
It was her word against the cops. Moreno says she lied.
She made the whole thing up. She made it up. Yes, I did.
Protesters hit the streets of Lower Manhattan tonight following the verdict that cleared 2 former NYPD cops of rape charges.
They are outraged that after 7 days of deliberation, the jury found officers Kenneth Moreno and Franklin Mata not guilty of rape.
They shared their dissatisfaction with the department, but also shared their support for the victim.
Well, tonight, several hundred feminists and their supporters took to the streets to protest.
We won't be silent! We must stop violence!
There is anger, there is outrage over the verdict. 2 NYPD officers acquitted of rape charges in a closely watched trial. That verdict, largely in favor of former NYPD officers Kenneth Moreno and Franklin Mata, found them guilty only on misdemeanor official misconduct charges. The men all along claiming nothing happened.
My intentions were from the beginning just to help her.